magic and wishes and dreams. Madam Askew and the Grand Arbiter, we emerge in the world. It's Madam Askew and the Grand Arbiter. We're here to do a dance, and I don't know what else is gonna happen, but what's gonna happen is dancing, dancing, dancing. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Tea Time with Madam Askew over there, not over here, over there. Madam Askew and the Grand Arbiter. Hello, everyone.
Hello.
We know the suspense has been killing you. We have reemerged.
We are here. We're so happy to be here. Hello, good evening, everyone. Hello, dear Tracy. Please say hello in the comments and share that you're here so we can greet you, because we love knowing you're here. We love chatting with you.
No, if there's no one here,
oh no,
I might say a bad word.
Oh, you
and
say
it would be a nice word. It would be a bad word. It would be a foul word, a grotesque word, a cursed word.
Oh, a cursed word. My goodness.
Yes.
Hello, Ty. Hello, everyone. It's so good to see you. It's wonderful to be here tonight. Happy Friday, everyone.
Happy Magic Con Eve.
Yes. And happy spooky season. Oh my goodness.
Are you building cabinets because you're so talented and attractive?
And so good with your hands and screwdriver.
Yes. Driving screws. Wrenching Allens.
Ooh, I love wrenching an Allen. That's one of my favorite things to do. And hello, dear Tyson. Hello, good evening. It's so good to see you.
What my favorite thing to do with an Allen is?
Besides wrenching it?
It's to wrench it from a Ken.
Oh, to wrench an Allen from a Ken. I love to do that too, and I think that Alan would like to be wrenched from the Kens.
I think that they have a parasocial relationship that's toxic.
I think
like one Britney Spears hit single, Toxic.
Poor Alan. That's clearly, that is clearly Alan's theme song. Hello, Lady June Squirrel. Hello, it's good to see you. Oh my gosh, it tried to give her 2 months ago. Shocking, terrible.
I don't know why the internet is sometimes very frustrating, but welcome to today. Maybe we'll just start every event with today, October 18th, 2024. I'm your host, the Grand Arbiter, and with me is my co-host, Madam Askew, and here's today's news.
Hello. Well, I am sorry that you are being benighted by the internet, but I'm so happy you're here. And also a little reminder for our darlings who are on the Tube of You to make certain you're set up with live comments, not top comments. There's a little setting somewhere on the page to switch so you can see all of the chit chat that's happening and participate with each other. So, Grand Arbiter, what are you drinking in your teacup tonight?
I'm having a tisane as I'm trying to cut down on my caffeine consumption. It's a tragedy.
The scandal.
I've had some tummy problems and some visits from the acid fairy.
No.
It's serving xenomorph a la aliens.
Oh, that's terrible.
It's giving acid.
Oh, that's
it's
terrible.
Giving 1970s science experiment. It's giving acid.
That's terrible. Oh no. Well, in keeping with our blue theme tonight and all of the blues, I'm drinking Gail's Blue Abyss from Tea Punk Teas. This is such a beautiful scrummy oolong that is really blue and has this gorgeous creaminess to it. I just love it. It's
It's
so
a
wonderful.
very good one. Mine is also blue, but it's a tisane. I have so much of it though. I really do need to just consume it.
You're drinking the Morton's Mint, also from Tea Punk Teas.
Yes. And the Morton's Mint, I'll be okay. I think I'll be okay by the time we get to MagicCon. I was feeling sick and I was like terrified. I had gotten COVID or something.
Oh.
I got a vaccine already 3 weeks ago. So I'm like doing fine on that front. But I tested negative and I had no fever and I was just sniffling and stuff. And it turns out if you have acid reflux, it can give you like cold symptoms. It's bizarre.
I had no idea.
But it's a thing that I am dealing with right now. But hello, Freddie. Hello.
Hello, darling. Hello, my darling friend. Also, this sounds delicious, Laurie. Da Hong Pao, aka Big Red Robe, one of my favorites Chinese teas. It's got such a beautiful big flavor that goes with the name. It's really gorgeous. And you know what? Lady June Squill suffers very similarly, Grand Arbiter.
Yeah, we're too beautiful for this world. So I am just going to like have some like very healthy tea, and I'm just going to go into a little Grand Arbiter coma, an Arbiter sleep, and I'm just going to try to focus healing thoughts on restoring my mucus levels to a more appropriate level.
Yeah.
And feeling better about my life. It will be fine. I have tested. I will be testing on Wednesday as well. I am being hyper vigilant because I do not want to be the one who brings something. But I am being very careful. So, hi, Martha Stevens.
Hello, Martha, my darling. And also, Alicia is getting ready for the Steampunk Oween picnic in Toronto tomorrow. Oh my gosh. Have a grand time. And please give my love to all of the Canadian steampunks. I remember them fondly.
Oh, she longs for them. Her heart sings for them. If we can ever go back to Canada, it will be a thing that we do.
Oh, that's true. Oh my gosh. Oh, some gourmet hot chocolate after dinner for Freddie.
Gourmet. Oh, quite. Gourmet tea. My goodness. Gourmet hot chocolate is always nice, but it almost doesn't feel like a beverage. Like gourmet hot chocolate always feels to me like a very thick dessert. Like she thick with 3 C's. Give me 3 cc's of chocolate.
So scrummy though. I love bougie hot cocoa.
No. What is my secret darkness is that I love a hot chocolate. I want a hot chocolate with 1.5 times the height of the hot chocolate whipped cream.
You want more whipped cream than cocoa?
I want it to be as 50% taller than the cocoa.
Okay. All right. Yeah. You would have liked.
The volume isn't the same.
Oh, Lady Juicewell needs some marshmallows, and with her cocoa. And
I don't like marshmallows and cocoa. I just have a sick dream to always have so much. My relationship with whipped cream is it's carnal.
Oh, it's carnal.
I cannot imagine a life without whipped cream. I don't have whipped cream in the house for a number of reasons. When would I use it? Why would I use it? I don't have that many desserts in the house. Lord Asplund, blessed be, does not love desserts that much. It's very interesting. We all know Lord Asplund is quite picky. He's quite picky. But like when it comes to desserts, girl, he doesn't even like cake that much.
It's very hard at your
like
wedding.
Plain vanilla ice cream, and he likes M&Ms and jelly beans. Like he wants it to be bean shaped. It's a very he wants to have a little container of little guys. No pox on his house. It's my house. I live in that house. Don't call a pox on the house that I live in. That's very rude.
So you would have liked my dessert very much last night, Grand Arbiter.
Oh yes, because you had a real parabola of an adventure last night.
I did. I had quite the evening. So yesterday I got my hair cut.
Look how hot she is, everybody.
Actually.
Now's the time. She's at her peak power. It's time for you to all tell her your true feelings while she's at her most powerful.
So I hadn't had a proper professional haircut since before the pandemic. So it was really lovely to go and get one. My stylist that I'd used for years moved to Phoenix, where she's very happy. And I'm so happy for her, but she's not here. And it's not really something where I can travel to Phoenix to get my hair cut on the reg. So I found a person here. And so Tracy asks how much hair is gone. So the length is about 2-ish inches shorter, but because my hair is curly, it like springs up when you cut it, so it looks a little shorter. But overall, like, there's so many layers, so there's actually a lot of length gone from the top, and it's
I'm
really
gonna say it was at least a cake's worth.
I did lose about a cake's worth of hair, which was great.
A cake's worth of fluff.
I'm very, very happy. It feels wonderful. And I am like so happy with this new stylist. They did an amazing job. So if you are...
What's the salon they work out of?
They work out of Craft Collective, and their name is Erendida Manzo, and they're wonderful. They did just a fantastic job. And it is a queer-owned salon, and everyone was very friendly. But of course, now I have the sacred stylist bond with my new stylist, and I'm dedicated as one is. So, but I was very happy.
Both of us have new haircuts. Both of us have new haircuts now.
Yeah,
we are now both freed of our demons from the last year. We can hopefully no longer be cursed, although they got one last hit in before they left.
I decided, since my hair looked so cute last night, that I would go have dinner at a new, to me, restaurant. And so very spontaneously, I took myself out to dinner. And as I was walking to the restaurant, I found a pothole with my my cane.
Really doing the work of a civil servant.
Yeah, but I took quite a spill, and I took a tumble. So I am I'm injured now, which is a real it's an addition to
real fun adventure for everybody.
Yeah, I love it. So but in honor of surviving my fall, I had dessert last night. Normally when I'm out eating by myself, I don't do a bunch of courses. I just have the main meal, and then I feel very satisfied. But given my harrowing experience, I felt I deserved to have that homemade.
Your noble struggle against entropy.
Yeah, it was terrible.
You were really just definitely making sure that those flat Earth people. June thinks you need a seeing eye person. I agree. I think you need a seeing eye butch.
Yes. If any seeing eye butchers would like to apply to have spontaneous adventure,
you have to have good vision and good physical awareness, and you got to be able to catch her like you're a prince. So be buff, I guess.
Thank you, Ty. I will take you up on that, especially when we're at Worldcon.
We're so excited about Worldcon, but that's not yet.
Yeah, no, it was. So our thought was that my hair looked so good that the universe had to thwart.
She's a jealous bitch and tried to take you out.
Yeah, it's true. Fortunately, all I did was bruise myself and wrench my shoulder and sprain my wrist. So it's a mild sprain.
Holy.
So it's a mild sprain, but like carrying a teacup is too heavy right now. Oh.
You got to learn to use the left-handed move. You got to do
Yeah.
left-handed teacup holding. Ooh, very talented. Ooh.
I'm drinking tea with my left hand like a bisexual, which is very on brand. So that sort of threw things for a bit of a loop. You know what? I would take a ballroom dance leader also. So I was very fortunate in that a number of people rushed to my aid and were very kind and very.
No, it was like, it really reminds me that the magic of Tucson, that it is truly like, I don't want to live there. It's too unfortunate word hot.
It's too hot.
It's too. She is a spicy meatball, as it were.
All the time, about 9 months out of the year now.
So I'm not, but I do think the culture of Tucson and the Samaritan culture of Tucson is very strong.
Yeah.
There's a lot of folks who are really looking to be helpful. And I love that about Tucson.
No, I was very fortunate. I'm not really certain how I would have managed to get myself up from my predicament. I fell very dramatically, and my cane was away from me, and so I lost bits of my, no lie, parts of my outfit like came off my body and things went flying. It was really, really very dramatic, but they were super kind, and then I had a lovely dinner. So that was wonderful. And Lady June Squirrel is right. We're having a bit of a real cold snap has arrived, and currently it's 67, and we're having.
I mean, in the Gila area, they're warning about a freeze.
In Gila?
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh my goodness! Wow. Wow.
Yeah. No. There's supposed to be a freeze next week.
Well. So, but here we are.
You know, the magic of climate change.
Right. No, there's no way to spin that into a positive, a good thing. It's something we all get to endure together. So fun. But on a left turn from there, in fun news, you are going off to MagicCon.
I'm pretty stoked. I'm pretty stoked to go. I'm a little HOTTO go, you know.
Yes, you are. You're going to have such a good time.
I'm pretty excited.
You're going to report back on the convention and take lots of
if you want to follow along, I'm going to be trying to like give recaps of each day on my TikTok. If you follow me on the Grand Arbiter, that's where I'm at on TikTok.
And perhaps when you're back, we can get a little review, like 500 words or something like that.
500 words? What is this? English?
Listen, I do 1,000 words at the drop of a hat.
Yeah, you do 1,000 words of your. You can't do less than 1,000.
That's
you
true.
could. You would try to write 100 words, and you'd be like, "Oh no, I wrote the Epic of Homer."
Why use 5 words when I can use 50 is really the sort of guideline I live by. And so I was trying to be kind, suggest a short.
We'll see what happens. We'll see how my mental capacity goes. As you know, we only review things that we enjoy. So I've not done it yet. So we'll find out.
Yes, that's true. Now, this is one of those logical things to watch out for in symbolic logic. A equals B, B equals C, but C does not necessarily mean A. So if we do not review something, it doesn't mean we didn't like it. It may mean that we haven't had a chance to do so yet. But we do only review things ultimately that we like. So that's sort of our normal process. But you're going off to MagicCon, and
yeah, I'm excited. I'm choosing among my children who's going to come with me in my magic decks. I'm picking my children.
Wonderful.
I am bringing the bear, though. I'm going to bring the bear.
The
Mama
bear.
Bear deck. My Mama Bear deck's going to come for sure.
Oh, my goodness. Will you please post, take some pictures of your decks, like
I'm
spread
going to
out?
be doing, like, over the course of the weekend, my plan is to do a little TikTok review of the children that are coming.
Oh, excellent. I'm excited. So, whilst the Grand Arbiter is off having magical adventures at MagicCon, I will be here with all of you, and I shall have a special guest joining me on Friday. I'm very excited. Watch for that announcement. She's a dear friend. We haven't had her on the show before, so I'm very excited to introduce all of you to this delightful human and to share her work with you. She's an author and also a wonderful, like, gothy figure, and has a lot of love for the spooky season. So we are going to have a grand chat next week. And then this coming Sunday, one thing I can do is still talk about books, even with a sprained wrist. I may not be able to cut fabric right now, but I can talk about books. So we will be having book club on Sunday at 4:30 p.m. Pacific. That will live stream probably to my personal Facebook, but I'll let you know if that is going to change. And we're going to be discussing Dreadnought by Sherry Priest. So I'm very excited for that conversation as well. Oh my gosh. Oh, what is this?
Go over 5, just so we're clear. I can go over 5.
You absolutely can. You can talk about
incredibly efficient with language. So one of the things about being in the salt mine is that you really want to be super efficient with your language, because management spaces tend not to read after the third word. So you really have to be super efficient to make sure that you're, like, getting what you need when you ask for it.
in 3 words.
Yeah, you got to get them. You got to get buy-in in at least one sentence.
I would be doomed. I would be doomed. I'm like ready for 19th century management conversations. I love this though. Solicited deck picks.
Yeah, I mean, they're going to be great. It's going to be great. I haven't decided on all of them. I think I'm bringing 6 or 7. But the goal for me was to bring decks that were all different colors and all more, they take different angles. I like to be able to take on different angles in the game. So I'm excited to take on different experiences like that.
You're going to have like a rainbow deck experience.
I mean, the one deck that I will be bringing, that I'll just give you one, I'm going to give them one, like, preview.
Okay, all right.
Because we'll do it here, because why not? We have a little time before we go into our patrons corner.
We have a couple of minutes, yeah.
Yeah, and I already have a primer for this one, so that's on Moxfield. So Moxfield is the Magic the Gathering website that you can use to track your decks that you have built, but you also can post primers and descriptions of the decks.
Grand Arbiter, will you put that link in our chat?
Grabbing it as we speak. That is what we're doing.
Excellent.
So I just need to grab the last one. Where is it? Advanced? No.
So whilst the Grand Arbiter is grabbing that, I will warn you that we are both extremely excited about this week's Patrons Corner topic. And the voting was fast and furious on Patreon this week. So I think many of you are also quite excited about this topic. I may have done some research. Good evening, Freddie. Thank you for hanging out. And also, everyone, Freddie and Felicia just started their new season of their streaming show that streams every Wednesday evening. I'm very excited. It's live with Fifi and Freddie, and I know it's going to be a wonderful season ahead. So check them out. Yeah. Are you ready, Grand Arbiter?
I have posted the link. I am just in the process of grabbing my images.
Also, Alicia, honestly, you made me laugh so hard when you proposed it that I agree with you. Because you know what? I do have a hard time being succinct. It's not my personal skill set. So I can always talk more and at great length about things, but keeping it tight and tidy. I did not go to the Hemingway School of Exposition at all. I definitely went to the Jane Austen and Charlotte Bronte School of Exposition.
So I'm just going to give a quick primer on the deck that I'm bringing. That's this is one that brought me back to magic, and I'm very proud of it. So I worked very hard on it. So I'm going to go to display mode, and I'm just going to share screen, and then I'm going to choose a window, and I'm going to pick this window. I'm going to click share, and then I'm going to go there. Okay. So our leader is our good friend Jensen Carthalion. Jensen Carthalion is a druid, but because he has a relationship with the Carthalions, he has a relationship with angels. So that's his whole deal. And I have partnered him up with a partner, an animal companion, in Gigantha the Wellspring, a giant rainbow elk.
That's great. That's very you. A giant rainbow.
And both of these commanders care about multicolored things. So the goal is this deck is to cast many multicolored spells for fun and profit. It's very silly and very dumb, and I love it. I think my favorite thing about it is the art. I have a playmat of this art because I love this art so much. Also, it's one of my favorite jokes of this particular character. So this character is the brother of another character.
Oh.
It's Jared and Jensen because it's a riff on the actors.
Oh, Supernatural. Oh my gosh, I love that. That's wonderful. That is delightful. Oh, well, what a beautiful deck. And also, Alicia, I'll try not to go on as long as Dickens, but that is grave temptation sometimes.
Okay, it is time for Patreon's Corner. It is 7 o'clock. It is high time.
Ooh. And Grand Arbiter, the Grand Arbiter has been crafting our Patreon's Corner topic options in his artisanal laboratory in his very secret tower in Cascadia. So would you care to share the winning topic for this week's poll?
The winning topic is Supernatural Treasure Trove, the best urban fantasy you've never heard of. Madam Askew and I will be discussing different urban fantasies that we love and want to share with you that may not get that much love or be that well known.
So the Grand Arbiter, we'll both have opinions on each other's picks, but the Grand Arbiter
have opinions that they are plenty well known.
Yes. The Grand Arbiter is hitting the moving picture world and comics, right?
Yeah, I've picked a number of comics and we'll be talking about some TV shows.
And I am focusing mostly on books, although heavens knows a movie or two might make its way into my discussion. But I have a long list of books, so probably not.
We'll start with one of those books. And
right. Go ahead.
Karen, I don't think we're frozen. I think that might be on your end. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Okay, so
Right. I'm going to start out with my first pick on my list, which is The Essential Border Town, which is a compendium of some of the border town stories in the shared world of Terry Windling. And so during the late 80s, she created this urban fantasy world called Border Town, where it's this thing happens where the border of fairyland and the border of the human world are suddenly permeable, and there's this like city or several cities that crop up in this border region, and the fae and humans commingle and magic is real in these places. And so there are lots of different authors writing in this world and this series. They're mostly out of print, so it's very hard to come by them, but they are incredible, and I love the whole compendium. But The Essential Border Town is still available, and it's a wonderful collection of short stories and novellas, and I just love it. And I suspect that it was not as is not as famous or not as well known as it could have been, in part because it was a shared world. Also, the 80s did not have the same kind of marketing machines we have now.
the
And it was
marketing machines are
fantasy.
pretty crazy nowadays.
Right. Well, and it was fantasy. So, especially in the 80s, like while there were some fantasy novels that hit big and did well, a lot of this was mid-list books. And there's nothing wrong with mid-list. Mid-list is sort of like the bread and butter of what I and lots of genre fiction people read. It's just that mid-list never gets the kind of marketing love that New York Times bestsellers do. But it's a fantastic series. And now, of course, it is disadvantaged by largely being out of print. So you have to go hunting at used bookstores or eBay or what have you. But it's well worth the effort.
What do you think makes it the most special? Something that really speaks to you personally?
Well, so Terry Wingling is one of the best fantasy fiction editors of the last century. And so she had an incredible eye for stories, and she also did a wonderful job of setting up any of her anthologies in a way where the pacing of story to story was also very good. But I think the thing for me that hit so strong was that the people in the stories were young people who I really related to or would have been friends with. They were like the weirdos, the outcasts, kind of arty people. And I loved just the potentiality of meeting the Fae. I was very into that kind of mythology and folklore at the time. And I thought the way it was used was really beautiful, while also maintaining the kind of deadly hazards of dealing with the Fae. It like did not gloss over the fact that the Fae were very different and could absolutely murder humans even if they were quite lovely. So yes, very 80s, and a lot of it is out of print. Not The Essential Border Town, that is available. And I will be posting a list later with links to all of the books and things, and that will be available. So I'm not going to try and post everything in the comments because there's a lot. So, but I am going to put together a list. Grand Arbiter, what is one of your top TV shows?
So, we're going to talk a little bit about a little show that I love a lot, that Askew, I know you also love. Mixed bag of a show. Lots going on. Some of it's good, some of it's very bad.
Yes.
But I brought to the table 2010 to 2016's Lost Girl.
Yes. Oh my goodness.
And
I
I
love
posted the
that.
IMDb link. our friend our main character is a succubus who is trying to manage her life now that she knows that she's a succubus. Otherwise, she didn't know what she was. She just had sex with you when you died, and she was real bummed about it.
Yeah, it was a real problem, that whole thing where her lovers would die. But also she's a bisexual menace.
She is a menace in many ways, but it's a great, fantastic series. Very goofy. I love it. Its last season is a mess, but that is okay.
Yeah.
The one thing I think, the big thing I would like, I think the big thing that I really thought made it really special was it's from this era of sci-fi that I was really fond of. There's a number of these really great sci-fi shows that like fall into this same kind of genre. So like Lost Girl did this sort of dark urban fantasy feel with like a big sexual tension component and lots of melodrama. I loved Warehouse 13, which is like another really great, like it's magical, kind of science, very steampunk.
Well, we have the Librarians too.
The Librarians is great, which I am a big fan of. Love the Librarians.
Yeah.
Another one that is like very close and near and dear to my heart is like Warehouse 13 was by far one that I was like full on obsessed with. Like it took many moons of my life away.
So, no, and I love that show, Warehouse 13. It's so good. And I would argue, I mean, Warehouse 13 and the Librarians, those are fairly well known, but they're
Madam, I don't know what DVD are you talking about? You'll let us know later.
Yes.
But what made Lost Girl really special, I think, is I think that it was like very like the characters are very morally gray, and there's a lot of like she's a hero, but she's like very much one of those like I'm not a real hero. I kill people, you know. Very dark and broody, but like fun still as a character, which I think is like not something you see a lot out of this particular one. It's a fairly watchable, bingeable experience. Location of getting very difficult. I don't know if it's streaming anywhere right now.
There are a number of these shows from that era that were made in Canada, primarily by Canadian artists, writers, producers, production team, actors. They're sort of out of that Vancouver film and TV scene, or the Toronto film and TV scene. And so they're a little bit harder to get in the States. I don't know if Lost Girl is streaming anywhere currently.
It is on Apple, but it's a little pricey, is I think what the lesson is. But
it's wonderful though if you can get a hold.
Don't worry, I have more inexpensive ones in the docket. So let's go on to another one of Madam's.
Okay, so Bill, our buttery goodness, already mentioned this author, but my next one is War for the Oaks by Emma Bull. It's one of my favorite books of all time. And I love Emma Bull's writing. And I just think that this is a stunning piece of urban fantasy. It's set in the late 80s. Well, maybe in the mid to late 80s, actually, at the height of Prince and the new wave music movement in Minneapolis, the homeland of Prince. And Prince is not a character in the story, but his music really features so much in the book. And so one of the things I loved about reading War for the Oaks is that I could hear all of the songs they talked about just in my head, because they're some of my favorite songs. So it has a real soundtrack experience for me. I love the characters. It was written in the time, and Emma Bull clearly had a sense of that part of the counterculture because the fashion is so right, the club culture is so right, and she had her own indie band that she was playing with, and so she understood the whole dynamic of being a little indie band. The story features a band that our heroine is the lead singer and main, artistic visionary for. And then there's a war between the two courts of the Fae, and she gets caught up in all of that. It's just such a wonderful book. And if there had ever been a sequel or a series, I would have lapped it up. I'm very, very sad that there wasn't a sequel to that book because it's just one of my favorite things ever, and I would have loved to see what came of those characters. Oh yeah, no, so this absolutely, so there's a character who is a trickster character in the book The Puka, and he is like the personification of Prince. So much about him, his physicality, his fashion, everything reads very Prince. So it's wonderful. It's a great book, and it is still, you can still find it. It's still in print. I think there was a beautiful edition that, got re-released a while ago that's a bit newer, so you don't have to necessarily go hunting through eBay or used book purveyors to find this one.
Excellent.
Yeah, and I think amongst devotees of urban fantasy, especially in the late 80s, early 90s, War for the Oaks is pretty well known. But if you are a newer convert to urban fantasy, because it was released in that sort of first wave of urban fantasy back in the 80s, you may not have heard of it. It's a real gem. So add it to your list. Oh, yeah. And absolutely, if you like Borderlands, you should absolutely read, and you like War for the Oaks, you should read Finder by Emma Bull. It's set in the world of Bordertown, and it's a fantastic book. And it's a little bit harder to find. I don't know if it's available as an ebook or if it's totally out of print, but it's worth the effort to find it. Yeah. All right, Grand Arbiter, what's next on your list?
So I am obsessed with cartoons, as we all know. My next pick is Tracy, which is a very cool Netflix cartoon.
Yeah.
So Tracy is based on a comic book, and it takes place in Manila.
Yes.
And it's a fairly I would call it like a really unique urban fantasy because it's so culturally relevant to its creator.
Yeah.
All of the characters are tied to all of the traditional folktale stories associated with them. Yeah. So it's just a great little piece. It's only 6 episodes, and it's unlikely. It's Tracy, Trese. And it's very heavily influenced by Singapore. So that's it's based on it's got Singapore, and it has a Filipino bend to it. So there's a lot of Filipino myth associated with it. It's pretty great.
And this was animated, right?
Yeah,
it's also a live action. There've been a couple of live action urban fantasy shows on, I think, mostly on Netflix that are set in Southeast Asia, Philippines.
There are some set in those areas. You and I were obsessed with this one Mexican one for a little bit, which the name escapes me right now.
You're not talking about Los Spookies, are you?
No,
because that one's
Los Spookies is sort of like meta narrative. That's
right.
A very weird
wonderful. But it's wonderful. But yeah, I know the one you're talking about is so good. And I feel really bad that I can't remember the titles of these. I'll try and find them to include in our list because they are really wonderful. And one of the things I really try and do as a consumer,
Diablero.
Diablero.
Diablero. I've got the 30 coins is also pretty interesting. I haven't watched all of it. It's a little too it's a little grimmer. Diablero is a little bit more goofy.
Yeah.
And I liked that.
It was really good. And then there's one that is like Tressé, that is live action that happens in a similar part of the world. And I get them confused, so I can't remember the title of it right now, but it's wonderful. So, so one of the things I was getting ready to say is that I try and make certain, as a consumer of this genre, to push myself to read and watch things from creators, from artists, authors, performers who are not just from a Northern European tradition. Because I've read and consumed a lot of fiction set in places putting on Northern European mythology. And I think that that tends to get more support and more spotlight from the mainstream media machine. So in terms of like the big publishers and the big production houses, that's mostly what they're producing when they produce urban fantasy. And so I try and make an effort to go looking for more myself.
Was it Mystic Pop-Up Bar?
No, it was grim.
Oh.
So we're not going to get into the weeds.
Yeah, no, we'll get lost in the weeds. There's actually a lot of Korean and Japanese fantasy urban fantasy stuff that you can find on very easy, accessible locations.
So good. But no, this was more like Tressé. So you were saying though, Grand Arbiter, about Tressé. Why do you think it didn't do better?
So I think the big thing is I think that not as many people were into the I think it was harder to get people to buy in. It also was only 6 episodes.
Right.
So it's this very quick watch, but if you didn't get bought in really quickly, I found it pretty interesting. But I think that the narrative has really got an in media res kind of experience, and things are explained later, which I think for narratively makes a great pitch. But it's harder for folks who are less interested in the cultural background of these things. Yeah, but I like stuff, so meh.
So there you go. Yeah, gorgeous. All right. So speaking of things that you may not have heard of and are a bit culturally different, I've got to do a shout out for The Library of the Dead by T.L. Huchu. He is an author out of Scotland, but his background is Nigerian as well. And so he writes from that dual perspective. And this book is the start of a trilogy. It's young adult fiction. And The Library of the Dead takes place in a sort of post-apocalyptic Edinburgh, Scotland, but it is a setting that has magic and magical creatures, and magic is real, and the main character has to deal with all sorts of magic and also speaks to the dead and interfaces with ghosts as part of her lived experience. It's a wonderful series. They're also gorgeous audiobooks if you like that sort of thing. I was able to get them through my library, and so they're newer books, and he is just a fantastic author.
I love the spirit medium genre character. That's always a fun character development, and ghosts are such an interesting component to urban fantasy just generally, because it's ghosts are a representation of history and usually trauma.
Yes.
Like,
And
they say people are haunted and they mean it.
I mean it. Well, and the main character of this is both, she's very scrappy. She's having to deal with a lot just to get by in her life. She's the main breadwinner for her family, even though she's a teenager. And she's irreverent and sassy and also deeply pragmatic. And she is such a survivor under very hard circumstances. I will say I often found myself deeply frustrated with the adults who were such ineffective adults. And I know that that is actually very realistic about young people leading traumatic lives. When they fall through the cracks, often the adults around them are not particularly sympathetic or supportive or doing a good job of being adults. So it was believable, but also the characters just wonderful, and her chums are fantastic as well. It's a great world. So yeah, highly recommend it. But I don't think it got as much play and as much sort of PR because it's set in Scotland, and whilst I think people do love Scotland, they mostly love the romance of the Highlands. So when you're like, Scotland but hard and things have gone wrong and the world's on fire, people are like, wait, I wanted the romance of the Highlands, not suffering. And also it's very similar to Tressé, where it can be harder to get people to try something that is different for them culturally. And this absolutely makes that ask of people.
Okay, just to be clear, the only reason Lockwood and Co. is not on this list is because it got canceled. It makes me insane.
Yes.
We were obsessed. I was obsessed.
Yes.
It's by an author I deeply respect.
Yeah.
He did some of my favorite kids' books when I was a kid. The Bartmadius trilogy, which is about Jin, and it's very good. Makes me furious. Absolutely insanely furious that we don't have more Lockwood and Co. I don't understand it. I don't understand. A lot of things don't get renewed.
Well, Dead Boy Detectives also didn't get renewed. Oh. That was brilliant. It was a fantastic bit of urban fantasy, and with a wonderful gay main character who just, did not get to have his story explored more, which
So we do mean canceled when we say we do mean, but we don't mean canceled socially. Canceled in America means the series no longer continued. We don't say discontinued. We mean canceled.
Yes.
So, but to leave you with some like fleeting good feelings.
Yeah.
We're going to give you some final pieces that are going to be easily accessible, readable, and have pictures, because I'm going to do a little comic bomb at the end of this today.
Yes.
We're going to talk about 3 of my favorite urban fantasy comics.
Wonderful. But also, again, we will put together a list with my books and the Grand Arbiter's TV shows and comics, and all the things that we are not talking about today, because I had a long list.
Your list was very long, but we were not going to get through all of it.
I knew that we wouldn't. But I'm,
we will make sure that whatever we pick, we also include links to where they can be accessed.
Of course. I always do that with books.
I meant like we could, some of the things that we've talked about today may not be as accessible as that we'd like them to be.
That's true. Yeah. So there's so many fantastic books that I would love to encourage people to read. And I think that picking one that's like accessible and that you can find and that you may not have heard of, going to go with That Time I Got Drunk and Saved a Demon by Kimberly Lemming. And this one kind of is really more of a paranormal romance rather than an urban fantasy. And that's like a whole topic of discussion. But in short, the big difference is there's more romance, there's probably sex on the page. In the case of this book, there is sex on the page, and the relationship and the romantic dynamic is more of the focus than other parts of the story drama, and what's propelling the narrative is that relationship. But it's a wonderful fun romp. It's a more modern installment on our list. Kimberly Lemming is an author to be watching, as she is starting to have a lot of buzz around her. But this is the book that started it, and it is just so irreverent and having such a good time with the typical tropes of paranormal romance and urban fantasy. So it's a little bit like the Ren Fair meets paranormal romance meets urban fantasy, and I love it. And the main character is just a lot of fun. She's got a bit of a potty mouth, and I enjoyed that a lot. So yeah,
We love a potty mouthed lady.
We do.
Lori asks what we think of Hilda. I've watched all of Hilda. I don't believe you liked Hilda.
I got very upset with Hilda.
So I forgot. So Madame Askew got very upset because the mom is not very on board, is the best way I could describe it. And Madame Askew doesn't like it when there's bad parenting.
I do not. I felt like the mother really invalidated and did not listen to her child, and that a lot could have been avoided if the mom had not sort of blown off her child on a regular basis.
I think the biggest issue with that is that both I like the show, but Hilda is a surprisingly non-standard character for a children's show. She's kind of awful. She's very selfish, and she does not pay attention to her friends in ways that are really compassionate constantly. I like the show a lot. I think the world is really interesting. It's got really robust storytelling, and it's very like charming, whimsical world where danger feels real, but is like not that weird, not that like you're not scared of being attacked by bears. You're scared of being attacked by trolls. Like it's the danger's real, but it's just fantastical. But I find that Hilda as a character I think Hilda's mother is challenging, but I think Hilda herself, like as I've watched the show, I've become more like understanding of Hilda's mother, because I can imagine that Hilda, a constantly selfish child who constantly doesn't think about her friends and has her friends get possessed by magical sea mice to get what she wants. It's pretty effed up. Hilda, not a kind thing to do to your mom, make her possessed by a mouse.
No.
Kind of a rough one. But great series. I enjoyed it a lot. We're going to do a real...
animation is beautiful too.
Yeah, no, I think the animation is really stunning, and I like it a lot. I think that it's a very easy watch, and the movie's very good. If a bit, again, scary. Like, it's a very scary show for children. Like, I think it's, like, perfectly fine. But, like, if I were 5, I'd be like, this is pretty spooky.
I don't know. About that time in life, I saw, The Dark Crystal, so...
Yeah. I mean... It's definitely more spooky for children than modern cartoons for children.
Yes, I see that. I am being a little bit cheeky.
You're being cheeky. Okay, we're gonna go through 3 comics really fast. You want to go through 3 comics real fast? Yeah. I talked about it a bunch. I'm gonna keep talking about it until everybody's read it. It's Muted. Muted is about a girl witch who has to come to terms with her dual heritage and fall in love with two magical ladies. It's lesbians. It's polyamory. It's ethical non-monogamy. We love it. It's the other comic I will not stop talking about. It's Stagtown. It's existential horror, and it's about the fantasticness of curses and guilt. It's very scary. Do not read this if you like. You should definitely read this all the time, but make sure that if you're reading it, you read all of it, because it does have a happy ending, because I will not give you stuff that doesn't have happy endings, but it is scary for a long time.
Oh, well, not for me. It sounds great.
The last one is Third Shift Society, about a psychic who works with an investigator who is a man with a pumpkin for a head. It's a very buddy cop type of mystery of the week kind of show.
Excellent. Oh, so Grand Arbiter, I want to do 3 quick book suggestions to go with your three quick comic suggestions. So first of all, get in there with Tonya Huff, and you can read Blood Ties. There's a TV show that was done to match with it, but I really love Smoke and Shadows. Has a queer main character. It's a trilogy. It's wonderful. It takes place in Vancouver, and he's a great character. I also want to give a shout out for the 20-Sided Sorceress series. The main character runs a game shop, collects a found family. They're really into gaming and dice, and also she uses her gaming mechanics as part of her magic. And then I want to finish up with Minion by L.A. Banks. This is an incredible series. L.A. Banks died in the early 2000s, 2011, so we won't be getting any more of those. But it was revolutionary at the time. The main character is a young Black woman. There's a lot of sort of rap and R&B references as part of the book, and she's just a great character, and the books are very engrossing. So those are the 3 I throw out there as my final
gift to you before we bask off into that good night.
Yes.
So where can we find you next? It's going to be book club. It's going to be
on Sunday at 4:30 p.m. Pacific, streaming live. I will put out a notice where, and we are discussing Dreadnought by Sherry Priest.
And we'll be around on the Discord. You can bother us and share your fun lists of your favorite books, movies, TV shows, comic books, and other forms of fantastical media on
fantasy, my darlings.
On our Discord if you are not yet a member.
Yes. And if you give me one moment, I will put that Discord invite into the comments for everyone. We always love having people join us in Discord. Discord is the best place to participate in the community because there are no ads, and we are able to really participate in the conversation together and opt in as much as we want, which is wonderful.
Social media has ruined everything, but connecting with individuals will save your life.
Yes. Yes. That's
Build a
it.
community of your own. Destroy the chains of oppression.
Woohoo! Yes, and speaking of building a community of your own, please consider joining us on Patreon. Patreon is what makes all of this nonsense possible on the regular. Our wonderful Patreon community not only picks our weekly topic, but they collaborate with us on so many of our projects and make doing our live streams, traveling to events, hosting the Discords, and all of my classes possible. Without Patreon, we would not be doing any of this. Thank you to our wonderful stalwart Patreon community, many of whom are here in the chat tonight.
Pick yourself, help Madam Askew pick herself off the pavement. Join our Patreon.
So terrible. It's true though.
Okay. We will see you next time, folks. I won't be here, but Madam Askew will, and you can follow my adventures at Magicon on TikTok. We'll see y'all later. Bye.
Please treasure yourselves as we treasure you. Get those crystals, drink that water, get your vitamins and minerals. We love you. Cheers. Good night.
Bye-bye.